Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity beeby dow.
And so I said to him, "You put the turtle back, mister." I know, right?
And then he got real mad.
Yeah.
And said, "No, that's not my turtle. You're the one who brought it from the pet store."
Exactly. But enough of this anecdote. Welcome to a one-off episode of American Brews and Tunes.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
My name is Stephen Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
Wow, this is episode number 82.
82?
We probably said what we were going to be reviewing on the last episode, but in case we didn't, which I can't remember if we did or not.
I don't know either, but let's just say it again.
Let's say it again. We've reviewed Reunion Tour by the Weakerthans.
Yes, that's what we're going to be reviewing. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it is going to be great.
It almost feels like a reunion because it's been a while since we recorded an episode.
It really has been. So it's like a mini reunion for us.
Yeah. Couple week reunion.
Yeah. Just a little reunionette.
Yeah. We
Reunito.
We've reviewed multiple other Weakerthans albums, correct?
Just one other.
Oh, I thought we did another one off.
Only one.
Only one?
Reconstruction Site.
Reconstruction Site. Okay.
So,
all right, well then we'll have to review the other ones.
Yes, we
at
will.
Some point.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, before we get to that fantastic album, let's review a beer, shall we?
We shall.
Now, I know we have had quite a few Stone beers on this podcast.
Yes,
and
we
I
have.
believe...
Not for a while, though.
Have we had any version of the Arrogant Bastard? I believe we've had some kind of version.
Probably.
But anyways, hopefully we haven't had this version because we're about to have it now. The Oaked Arrogant Bastard Ale.
Ooh, sounds spooky.
If you have never had the Arrogant Bastard Ale, it is one of Stone's earliest beers that they've had. It's got the gargoyle on the front and a very arrogant and lengthy description on the back about how you're probably not going to like the beer.
Yeah.
If you haven't ever read that, look it up. It's easy to find, and it's quite funny.
Yeah.
This version, however, says Arrogant Bastard Ale made with American oak wood chips.
So yeah, well that'll be interesting.
Not only will it be interesting, but this is not fresh.
No, not at all.
How not fresh is it, Jesse?
If I remember the dates on the bottle correctly, it said enjoy by some date in 2016.
January 7.
January 7, 2016. So you bought that in 2015.
It was bottled in October of 2015.
Wow, so that's almost 4 years ago that was bottled.
Yeah, it's been aging for a little while.
Yeah, but you've
At
been
cellar
aging
temp.
You've been aging it properly.
Yeah, so let's crack this and give it a little pour, shall we?
Yeah, I wonder if it's gotten like way more mellow. Because it seems like all those like really heavy beers and like really hoppy, like intense beers that we have aged over the past how many ever years, it always seems like they get a little bit more mellow and you can kind of like the hop flavor like doesn't like dull out, but it almost like gets softer.
It does. And it also seems like carbonation kind of goes away a little bit, which might not be the case here. I'm seeing a nice little foamy head on both of them.
Yeah, I'm seeing some bubbles.
So I think we will still have the carbonation going.
That's a really nice dark brown color.
Yeah, it's nice. Because the Arrogant Bastard Ale it's not an IPA.
It's just an ale.
It's a strong ale.
Yes.
Which is kind of similar to barley wines, but they each have their own intricacies. It's kind of a catch-all term for stronger ales, I guess. It's named appropriately.
The name strong ale is a catch-all term for all strong ales.
Now, it's got a pretty nice looking foamy.
It does. It looks really nice.
Light tan head on the top, which
tan.
I'm surprised.
It almost kind of looks like if you were to make a root beer float.
It's got a sweetness to it still, which, if I remember correctly, the Arrogant Bastard
you mean the smell?
had a sweet smell to it.
Yeah, it definitely does.
What else do you get note-wise?
I'm trying to differentiate between all the smells right now.
No, I always know when you have beers like this, you get like the little notes of the dark fruits and the figs, perhaps.
Yeah,
and I'm getting a little bit of that scent.
Yeah, there's definitely the dark fruit note. But then, as I was saying before, it almost seems like if this were fresh, you would be getting it way more pungent. It would be way more pungent.
Perhaps. The only way to know is to have a brand new one and a really old one.
That's never going to happen.
Let's go ahead and actually, as I'm looking at this, it's very sedimenty in my glass.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Same in mine.
I think I got the last pour perhaps in mine because mine's very sedimenty.
Oh yeah, look at all those sediments in there.
Yeah, so
Ooh,
that'll
this
add some
is-
extra flavor. We'll
It's
see.
gonna be interesting.
So what do
eh?
we say we give this a cheers and give it a try?
Let's give it a cheers and try.
As we always say on American Brews and Tunes, down the 3.5-year-old hatch. Still bitter in the way that I remember the arrogant bastard to be bitter.
Yeah, but just like I suspected, it almost seems like all the flavors have been rounded out more.
Yeah, I'm getting less of the dark fruit flavors, but I'm still getting a lot of that bitterness.
It's almost as if you shaved or at least trimmed a porcupine.
What does that mean?
You know, well, porcupines have a bunch of quills.
Yeah, why would you
Right?
shave it? And what does that mean?
Okay,
you
let
like
me-
eating quills that were on the ground?
No, let me run with this for a second. Okay, so there's a porcupine, and if you were to if you were to try to pet the porcupine,
Ouch.
or in this case, drink a fresh arrogant bastard, oaked arrogant bastard, all the flavors would be very pointy, and they would stick out more.
So we commit cruelty to animals and
No. This is just a fictitious porcupine that doesn't actually exist, and just saying if you were to trim their quills, which I think would actually probably hurt them a lot, so you definitely don't want to do that.
I think their quills come out though. I don't know if the quills are alive.
I think they do. What are the quills? Are they like little hairs? Or
I'm
are
not
they
really
like
entirely
little,
sure what they're made of,
like cartilage or like bone.
but I've seen like pictures where dogs have like tried to
gotten a
attack
face
porcupines
full.
and they've got a face full of quills.
Yeah.
So the quills fall out of the porcupine.
And
So
I
maybe
think
it
the
wouldn't
quills
hurt
are,
them.
I think the quills are barbed as well.
Yeah. Ooh.
But anyway, imagine if you were to then pet a trimmed up porcupine, probably wouldn't hurt as much. And that's what I'm saying about the flavors in this. They're
Yeah.
not. They're still all there.
How about this? Like you put a
They're just not as poignant and as pungent.
big wool steel, like a super thick wool sweater over that porcupine.
Yeah, and then you
And-
pet it,
And it probably won't go through, but maybe a couple will come through,
and the sweater has Yoshi on it.
but not as pokey as it could be.
Yeah.
Isn't Sonic the Hedgehog? No, he's a hedgehog. Never mind. I answered my own question very easily. I
Is it Sonic the Hedgehog a porcupine?
was like, Sonic, oh, no, not even close.
No.
Anyways, it's
neither is
pretty good.
Knuckles.
Are you getting much of the oak flavor? I'm not sure if I
no.
am. I know we've had some barrel-aged beers, and sometimes the barrel flavor goes away a little bit. Maybe that's the case here, because this wasn't actually aged in a barrel. They just added oak chips to it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's a slight woodiness to it, but it almost kind of tastes the same as like a nuttiness,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
that makes sense.
There's definitely a lot of dark fruit flavors coming through, which is really nice. And the hop has been rounded out as it's been aged for 3 years. Overall, it's a fairly tasty beer. I believe that I would probably rather have a fresh one, though,
Yeah, I think that would make a big difference.
because all those flavors would probably be very present and maybe more noticeable or more sharp, like a porcupine.
Yeah, but it's pretty good. As we always do on American Brews and Tunes, if the taste kind of opens up as the beer warms up, we'll let you know. Otherwise,
I think this one might.
I think it will, because I
I
think
think
there's
it
a lot going
definitely
on. But other than that, shall we move into the music?
Let's.
So we are reviewing the 2007 release Reunion Tour.
2007.
2007. I know it
Wow.
doesn't seem like it's that old, does it?
No, it doesn't.
But
But that's
it's-
mostly because I didn't know about the Weakerthans until 2016.
But it's their the Weakerthans Reunion Tour.
That's just the album title.
Yes, it's not a live album or anything. It's just
that's
called
what
that.
Whenever I first saw the album title, I was like, "This is just a live album. What the heck?
But it's not.
What the hecky?"
This is the fourth and what looks like final album
Hopefully
from the
not final.
hopefully not, but from the Canadian alt rock group. After this album in 2015, the band was like very inactive and kind of on a hiatus. And some of the members have hinted that they broke up, but I think John K. Sampson said you never know.
Yeah.
So it's not permanent, but for the foreseeable future, there's nothing happening in
Yeah.
that camp.
Personally, I know we both hope that they get back together.
As you all know, and as we kind of hinted at ourselves, we reviewed the Weakerthans' third album, Reconstruction Site, on episode number 48 of American Brews and Tunes. So if you want to hear that,
Ooh.
go check it out.
Go
It was a good
re-listen to
one.
it, or listen to it for the first time.
Actually, don't remember how it was, but I'm assuming we did a good job.
I think it was probably a great episode.
We've got a good track record, so we probably treated that one with great care.
Yeah, with great care.
With great irreverence. I don't know. That album had some great themes, and I think it was a overall binding that kind of held that album together.
Yeah.
And
This album is definitely
widely
similar in
Yeah.
that way.
I think that album, the Reconstruction side, is widely considered by critics as their best album.
Their best one.
But Reunion Tour is my favorite.
Okay.
And I think it is, I would call it a concept album.
It does kind of seem like a concept album.
Because pretty much every song is told from the perspective of somebody who's
somebody
not
else.
John K. Samson, with the exception
Right.
of one song potentially.
Yeah.
And I think that this shows John K. Samson's writing at its finest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Super
for
literary. Like, it's really good. He puts himself in the mindset of a lot of different people.
Sure. Yeah.
Some songs on this record are profoundly and poignantly sad, more than they might have a right to be. But hear me out. Like, house cats and Bigfoot enthusiasts shouldn't make you feel so emotional.
Right. Yeah.
But
I see what
John
you're
K.
saying.
Samson does that.
Yeah, that's just what he does a really good job of.
Yeah.
In a lot of the Weakerthans albums, he does a really good job of like choosing the correct words, like choosing words that really bring to light the point that he's trying to make with whichever song it is.
I think he has a very good way of explaining feelings that people have but aren't articulate enough to say.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Or are almost not like unarticulatable, but find very difficult to articulate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does it
Agreed.
beautifully.
Beautifully.
John K. Samson Lee. It's come a long way since Propaganda.
Yeah.
Shall we delve into the tracks?
We shall.
I've got 3 recommendations and 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
So that's going to be 5 that you should listen to out of 11, even though I think you should listen to all of them.
You
I
definitely should just listen to all of them.
I want to highlight my favorites.
Okay.
My first honorable mention is the first song, Civil Twilight.
It's a great song.
So the first thing I'm going to say about every song is whose perspective it's told through.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll kind of
Good
go from
idea.
there. This song is told from the perspective of a public transportation bus driver. And he's kind of reminiscing about a lost love. So he talks about like these mundane ways he passes time in his everyday life, because driving a bus is boring. I'm assuming you have the same route every day, right?
I would assume
part.
so.
So it's he knows where to go.
Especially if you're like a city bus driver.
Yeah, and that's what he is. And he's just doing the same thing over and over again. So he's talking about how he passes the time, and eventually reflects on like how he missed the chance to save this relationship.
Yeah.
And now he thinks of her every time, at the civil twilight, like right more like sunset kind of time.
Right. And I suppose if you're a bus driver, you have a very interesting take on that moment of the day.
Yeah,
Or like a different take, as opposed to if you were like hiking and you were looking at the sunset. You know,
it means something different.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would mean something completely different.
yeah. So it's an interesting perspective.
It's a super catchy song.
Yeah,
I really like this song.
I think it's super catchy.
And one thing that you can see in this song, or hear in this song, and will be heard throughout the album, is how the Weakerthans. It seems like there's a lot going on in every single song.
Musically,
yeah, and the songs always sound very full, and like robust and like complete, even
Like
though
this
in a lot
beer.
of the songs the instrumentation is minimal.
they used space well.
Yeah, they use space very well.
Agreed. That makes sense. Shall we move on to track number 2?
Yes.
So this song is told from the perspective of a real-life person named David Reimer?
What's the song called?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's called Hymn of the Medical Oddity.
Yes.
I'm going to say
How's it spelled?
Reimer.
E-I-M-E-R.
Reimer?
Probably Reimer.
I'm going to go with Reimer because
Okay.
I like that name.
Okay.
But who knows? David
New
Reimer, when he was an infant, received a botched circumcision and was left physically mutilated. I'm not going to go into too much more detail than that, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that's enough to give you a
To
picture.
get the point across.
Yeah, because it's ooh,
Yeah, just
gives you the
imagining
heebie-jeebies a little bit.
a
Imagining.
little bit. Yeah.
His parents, under the recommendation of a psychologist named John Money, at least that's how his name's spelled, Money, they decided to raise David as a girl and renamed her Brenda.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting thing. And it's worth noting that he had a twin, was a
Yeah.
brother. So the psychologist might have had some ulterior motives saying, ooh, we can raise this one as a girl and that twin as a boy and see like get some gender studies. So it's weird. It's an experiment.
It seems like such a weird situation.
It is. It's a horrible
what do you
experiment.
do like ethically in that situation? Like it seems almost unethical to.
I think it's very
do
unethical what happened. David never really felt right as a girl, but and kind of like had some depression and some weird stuff going on, and eventually was told the truth at age 15.
Wow.
So
Age
this
15.
caused the already present depression to worsen. And after some money troubles and a failing marriage way later on in life, and I guess I should mention he decided to go back to being a male after he found out the truth. But way later on in life, at age 38, he died by suicide, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I think this had a lot to do with it, his medical history.
Yeah, a lot of the lyrics point to that. A lot of
Yeah.
what the words that John K. Sampson chooses point to that for sure.
And it's hard to put yourself in the position of this person because that's
And this is
a very unique situation.
I feel like I think this is probably the best song or the one song that like it truly shows like how well John K. Sampson words his songs about putting it through their perspective.
Agreed.
And maybe it wouldn't be 100% accurate, but it helps the listener understand how David would have felt in a way.
I'm going to read the very last stanza in the song because I think
that's a good one.
It's
that's a
the
good one to
one
read.
that leaves
That's
you.
what I was going to mention anyway.
It leaves you the most emotional, I guess.
The most depressed and
Yeah.
sad and makes you ponder about life.
Yeah.
And
He's in a parking lot smoking a cigarette either before or after a shift or something. And he says, and if they remember me at all, make them remember me as more than a queer experiment, more than a diagram in their quarterly, make them remember me.
yeah.
It's really kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it really is.
And he did take his own life in his vehicle in a parking lot. So I think John K. Sampson was writing this as like his last things that he's thinking, which is really a bummer.
Yeah, but I think it's a good reason that he titled it Hymn of the Medical Oddity, right?
Yeah.
Because like he's in a way almost trying to pay tribute to
And I think he also wrote him because he does reference some saints.
Yeah, Saint Boniface and
something
Saint
else.
Vital or something like that.
And one of those is a reference to a Canadian something or other street or something.
Really?
One of them's so I can't remember entirely what it is, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song, a really somber sounding song, but
musically it almost has like a classical feel to it with
little bit.
those dyads, if you will, those guitar parts that's played throughout.
yeah.
But it is very beautifully written. Moving on to a song that really changes pace. Track number 3 is called Relative Surplus Value.
Yep.
And this song is told from the perspective of a young man who has just been fired, and he's telling this story of misfortune to somebody he knows in some capacity, and hopes that they'll pick him up, I'm assuming, from the airport. So he's like had a crazy, I'm assuming, past 24 hours, 36 hours, however. He got fired from his job, which John K. Sampson said it was about the internet boom, like when all those .coms and like the 90s and the early 2000s, whatever that was, when people were making a lot of money on all the internet stuff. Anyone with a .com could publicly trade it and make a lot of money, even though there wasn't any real worth to it.
Oh, really?
And so that bubble kind of burst
Weird.
in a bad way. So it has something to do with that. And relative surplus value is a Marxist theory. Did you look into that at all?
No, I didn't.
But it kind of works towards capitalism a little bit more. It's the relative surplus value in layman terms, for which I read it, was if a worker is working and in 1 hour's time he gets paid $10, but he makes $40 worth of product.
Yeah.
That's $30 of relative surplus value.
Okay.
So that's where the actual title came from. Song's very fast paced.
Yeah, it's a lot faster than the
Booming
second track.
drums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd say the drums are almost as frantic as the way that this guy is retelling his story.
Yeah.
There's a word for that when the music reflects the tone, but I can't remember what that is.
Sorry, all our music professors in college.
Not sorry, but I am
taught
sorry.
us that.
Yeah, that's right. I got my degree. So it's a nice change of pace. You got anything to say about this one?
No, I think you said enough. Said it all.
Hooah!
On to track number 4.
Track number 4 is called Tournament of Hearts.
This song is about curling.
Yes, the Canadian sport of curling. This is probably the most Canadian song on the album.
Yeah, let me tell you something first.
Yes.
Whenever they were going to release this album, they did webisodes. They did like 4 webisodes through Epitaph Records.
What?
And in those webisodes, they're each like 3 minutes long, and it's basically like this short, tiny documentary about the Weakerthans making this album. And basically, there's a whole weird thing about how they are claiming that they made the whole album on a budget of $100 because Brett Gurewitz was like, I think you guys can make this album for $100. I think it was just a story that they told for the episodes.
Yeah, that's
as a
gotta
joke.
be BS.
But
That's funny.
But
I mean, unless you own your own studio.
but in one of the episodes, John K. Sampson is sitting in a chair reading a book about curling. He was like, I think that this song will really play towards the Canadian audience. They're gonna get it right away. But for Americans, I thought maybe I should read a little bit about what curling is, so you understand.
Yeah, in order for this song to make sense, I had to learn a lot of curling stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to the Lyric Genius page about this, it all makes sense. This song is told from the perspective of a man who hangs out at a curling rink to avoid going home to his significant other, I'm assuming his wife.
Yeah.
He uses a plethora of curling terms to describe what this guy is feeling. If this was an American song, it would either be about football or about baseball. And they would use all kinds of like a pop fly
down,
or a
strikeout or
triple. Like all these phrases, even like random phrases about like concessions. You could probably like dollar dog night or something like that. I'm sure you could use.
Yeah.
So he uses all these things that you would have to know about curling to relate to this guy who's having a hard time expressing himself in his relationship and really struggling.
In the webisode, he said that the average Canadian spends like 4 nights at a curling club.
Oh, so weird.
I don't know if that's true, but I mean, I assume it is because they're from Canada.
They would know better than us at least.
And that it was really funny too because he was like, "Yeah, I've been really stressed out making this new album." And the only thing that has brought me peace is going to the curling club after like at night.
Oh man, it's so weird.
Yeah.
The title, Tournament of Hearts, is an annual women's curling championship.
Oh really?
So I think he titled that because it's a curling championship, but also the competing hearts between this man and the wife.
Yeah. That makes
so
sense.
another double meaning. Super catchy song.
Yeah, it really is.
I love the end when he repeats the right off, no, never, ever, never, ever.
Right off, no, never, never, ever, never.
There you go. I was going to say, did you notice how he switches?
No, never, ever, ever, never.
He switches the
Right
order
off.
of nevers and evers.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a phrase when they are sweeping real fast. Never,
Really?
ever, never, ever. Like they've got all kinds of phrases.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Like hack weight, like all kinds of weird phrases.
Yeah, I recognize that the was it hack weight or back weight?
Hack weight.
Hack weight. Okay.
Apparently that's if you throw
It's
it
like
too
how
hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm always throwing hack weight is what he
Yeah.
says. Like I'm always going.
throwing hack weight.
Yeah. So all kinds of really cool. I'd recommend looking up the lyrics for this one and doing
Yeah,
some
that'd
research.
be really interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of want to try curling now.
I'm curious.
I wonder if there's any curling club in Nashville.
Bet you we can find one somewhere. Shall we move on?
Yes, to another sad song.
Yes. One of the saddest songs on the record. It's my first recommendation. It's called Virtute the Cat Explains Her Departure. So this song is told from the perspective of a cat named Virtute. And it is the sequel to a song on Reconstruction site, which was called A Plea from a Cat Named Virtute.
Yes.
But as this title explains, Virtute is a she.
And she explains her departure.
Yes. So for those of you who do not remember what happened in A Plea from a Cat Named Virtute, go ahead and listen to American Brews and Tunes episode number 48. We'll be glad to tell you there.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to go listen to that, I'll tell you now. This song's that song is about a owner who has a cat, and the cat is the one telling the story, and the owner is a depressed guy, and the cat's trying to kind of help him out. Like the song ends with the cat saying, "I know you're strong."
Yeah.
On this song, though, Virtute the cat explains her departure. We learn that the owner has not improved, and Virtute has decided to leave.
Yes.
After having been a stray cat for a while after leaving her owner, Virtute reminisces of the times with her owner and realizes that it can't remember the sound that you gave for me, is what the quote says. So that's a weird thing to think of, but when you think of what a cat would be thinking, like what's the sound that you found for me?
Yeah, and even like with a dog, like
what's the sound that you found for me? It's a name.
her name, yeah.
Yeah, so
Virtute.
So Virtute's been on the streets for so long she can't even remember her own name that was given to her by an owner. It's such a when that hits at the climax of the song, it crescendos, falls crescendos bigger, falls really crescendos.
The sound that you found for me.
Oh, it's so sad when that happens.
Yeah.
And that's like, even though it's being told from the perspective of a cat, it's such a human song.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is like someone trying to cut out a toxic relationship and how it hurts both people profoundly.
Yeah.
And this, like, it's devastating when, like, you can't, like, this cat can't remember. Like, it's like really sad, very poignant.
I can't remember the one thing that like connected us.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And like pets like know their name. If they know one thing, it's their names.
Yeah.
So that's such a sad song. It's probably my favorite on the album.
Yeah. One of my favorites from them in general.
Yeah, one of my favorites. This song does have a third on John K. Samson's second solo record called Winter Wheat. It's called Virtute at Rest.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys listen to that, or we'll review that album at some point in time. But it's a closure on the
Look forward to
trilogy.
that in episode 164.
maybe sooner.
Or 182. Who knows?
Oh, that's too far. And plus 182 is going to be a Blink-182 episode. So don't you even try that. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, we shall.
Elegy for Gump Worsley.
To a very strange song.
An outlier, would you say?
No.
Sonically?
Sonically, sure, but not.
I wouldn't say thematically or
not thematically, and not,
but I'd say it's an outlier sonically, but it fits the record.
It definitely is.
This is told from the perspective of a person giving an elegy for a real-life hockey player named Gump Worsley.
Gump Worsley.
Presumably at Gump's funeral or wake.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure. I'm going to go ahead and say a wake because there's a banjo playing, and I imagine they're at a bar, and maybe someone's just playing a banjo while this guy gives his elegy. And I had to look up what an elegy was. Did you know what that?
I mean, I know what a eulogy is.
Yeah, an elegy is just like
different?
a poem that's...
okay.
That kind of...
About a dead person?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a eulogy, I think,
eulogy
is specifically
like,
at a funeral.
Is specifically at a funeral, and specifically, it's like paragraph format.
Yes.
Like it's a paper.
And this...
Or a short...
So there are some differences, but they're very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah. This song is really... interesting. Like I said, it's just a banjo kind of, not really playing chords, it's kind of playing some arpeggios while John K. Samson talks over this. He's literally giving an elegy, like reading a poem. And Gump Worsley was a hockey player, played for a couple different teams, but he was a goalie.
Yeah.
Notably, he was the last goalie to play without a face mask.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yep. He swore he was never afraid of the puck. We believed him.
We believed him.
We believed him.
My face is... What's he say? My face is my mask?
Yeah. Let them know that the inscription should read, my face was my mask.
Yeah. So he's literally just talking about this guy.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because when we think of sports figures, we think of larger-than-life people.
Yeah.
And they kind of are now. Like
they
superstars.
They definitely are now.
This guy said... and John K. Samson says he looked more like our fathers.
Yeah.
I think that's the very first line of the song.
He looked more like our fathers.
Yeah, he's got his jersey tugging at his beer belly.
Not an athlete, period.
Yeah, so he's just an average-looking person who had normal struggles. He talks about his mental breakdown. He had to go to a therapist. But obviously he was among some of the bravest and toughest people
To
that
not
that
wear
play
a
the game.
hockey mask.
Yeah, which is just crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah,
it's a good song. Very interesting. Definitely give it a listen.
Yes. Moving on to track number 7, which is my next recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree.
This song is called "Sun in an Empty Room."
Boom.
And I'd say it is the first in a series of 2 songs. I think this and the next one have a very strong tie, but I'll touch upon that in a second.
Okay.
This is told from the perspective of, it's not necessarily a guy or a girl, but it's from a person who just went through a breakup, and this person and their significant other have packed up everything from their shared apartment and are leaving for the last time and taking one last look at the apartment. The apartment's now empty, and the narrator is thinking of everything that happened there, which is kind of sad and really a bummer. Like the emptiness in the room reminds the narrator that it's all over, and it's done.
Yeah.
It was inspired by a painting.
Right. I forgot about that.
A painting titled "Sun in an Empty Room."
Forgot about that. Yeah.
By the artist Edward Hopper. I'd say this is probably the catchiest song on the album.
100%.
It's very melodic. Got a lot of music motifs and stuff that kind of pop up.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
And it culminates, I think, in the song when he goes, and he repeats the "sun in an empty room, sun in an empty room."
Yeah.
It's just very well written.
Sun in an empty room. If we meant it, if we tried.
Sun in an empty room.
Yeah.
And I really like the last chorus when he's talking about the sun. He's like, he's talking about how the sun's 8,000, however many miles away, and take 8 minutes to divide that, because that's how long the week takes for us to see sunlight. Just for that light to reflect and cast a shadow on this empty room.
Yeah.
So he's like thinking of all these little details about how empty the room is.
Another great example of
his songwriting.
His songwriting and word choice, yeah.
Like if I saw a shadow, I'd be like, oh, there's a shadow.
Yeah.
Not John K. Samson.
He's like, man, that sunlight took so long to get here.
Yeah.
And all it's doing is making me sad.
Yeah. Such a great song, though. Shall we move on?
We shall.
Track number 8 is called "Night Windows," and it's my second honorable mention.
Okay.
This is told from the perspective of a person who is walking by a house where a deceased loved one used to live.
Oh, okay.
For a while, I thought it was like a significant other who maybe they had a breakup, but this one is of a deceased loved one who used to live at this apartment. So he's walking by and he sees like this window and is remembering when that person used to live there. They're kind of reminiscing about some experiences in the past, which is common on this album. There's a lot of reminiscing.
Yes, quite a bit.
The narrator's super sad that they'll never get to see or talk to this person ever again, and they're kind of bummed out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would be bummed out. This is also inspired by a painting of the same title by Edward Hopper. You can all you have to do is look those up and you'll find them.
That's interesting. I like that.
Really easy to do. It's really, really a good song. The last chorus, or I guess it's not a last chorus, it's the last verse, is the one that kind of gets me and chokes me up a little bit. I'm going to read it for you.
Okay.
He says, "But you're not coming home again, and I won't ever get to say, remember how, ... I'm sorry that, ... I missed the way, ... could we, ? So he's just thinking about like, I'll never get to have any conversation with you again. I could say, remember this, or I'm sorry about this. He's like trying to reminisce or trying to apologize or make a recommendation, and he can't.
Yeah.
So it's all for nay, for not, whatever. Such a sad ending. Let's move on to track number 9, shall we?
Another sad song.
Another sad song. This is my last recommendation. It's called Bigfoot.
It's a good song.
Bigfoot!
Yeah, I suppose there is an exclamation point on there, so you have to say, Bigfoot!
You have to say it that way, otherwise it doesn't count. This song is told from the perspective of a real-life person, Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark captured a video that allegedly shows Bigfoot.
Oh.
In this song, he really, really believes, like, to the core of his being, that what he saw was real.
Yeah, then what he saw was
he's
Bigfoot.
convinced that he saw Bigfoot, and he's just trying to tell people about it and trying to convince people, only to find that they mock him and they don't take him seriously. So he's devastated that no one believes him.
Yeah.
Musically, it's a slow stripped back song, pretty much just one guitar and a vocal with.
Yeah, but it still sounds really full and really like well fleshed out.
Yeah, there is some, I believe, some type of atmospheric sound going on in the background just to kind of complement it. But it sounds so full. It's such a sad song. I never thought that I could feel sad for a person trying to
who
cry Bigfoot.
Yeah,
but you really do feel for this. Like
it's really more. It's really more about like the fact that he believes so much in something, and to believe that other people would want to hear about it, only to be scorned and made fun of, and been kind of like pointed the finger at and been like ha ha, or like the guy from The Simpsons. How do you do his laugh? What's that guy's name?
I don't know. I don't know who that is. Is it the clown?
No, I think his name's Nelson.
Oh, I don't remember.
He's like the bully.
Blue hair?
He's like the bully kid. No, that's
blue hair and glasses?
No, that's something with an M.
I can't remember.
Marlowe.
Millville.
Port. Millville. Millhouse.
That's
right.
What it is.
Anyway, enough about The Simpsons.
Yeah, let's move on to track number 10, shall we?
Title track.
This song is called Reunion Tour, obviously. This song is told from the perspective of a roadie who's moving through the labor of being on tour.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a reunion tour for a band that's got back together for a tour. It happens from time to time. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of just talking about the ins and outs of what you do like after a show.
As a roadie, yeah.
And obviously that's something the Weakerthans are very familiar with.
Yeah.
So he just talks about that. It's got a weird spacey sound that kind of like fills the song. As John K. Samson casually sings.
Yeah.
It's a strange song.
Yeah, I like it though.
I do too. Moving on to the last song.
Yes.
This song is called Utilities.
Another kind of almost depressing song, but also kind of like hopeful in a way, I think.
Yes, it is. I think
as well. I'm pretty sure.
But maybe not.
At least it makes me feel hopeful.
This is the only song on the album that I'm not certain who the narrator is.
Yeah.
I think it could be John K. Samson.
It might just be... I feel like it's probably either John K. Samson or he's just trying to convey a general emotion that he believes most humans have.
Yeah. And I think he's talking about like feeling weathered and useless.
Yeah.
But wanting to be used for something.
Yeah, because he like says, if only I could be a toothbrush or a solder gun, like make me into something that I could use, that can be used. Make me into something somebody can use.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't know, I always see, people every day who like seem kind of like down and out and like probably feel like their job is pointless or worthless. And I'm sure a lot of people like that. And to me, to some degree, I feel like that sometimes. Just want to be useful, just want to have a purpose, right? Like it seems like that's kind of what the song is about, is trying to find purpose in life, basically.
I agree. But no, it's a good song. There's some really cool guitar parts when the full band comes in, like that diddle-a-doo-doo.
Yeah.
Diddle-a-doo-doo-doo-doo. And I really like that.
Yeah, same here. Overall, what do you think?
Overall, the whole album?
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's like I said at the beginning, it's my favorite Weakerthans album.
Yeah.
I think they got better with every single album that they released.
After listening to them, I would agree with you on that.
Which is all the more reason why I want there to be more Weakerthans albums, but right? We'll just have to cross our fingers for that.
Yeah, it would be very interesting because this album came out in 2007, and so 12 years later, what would they sound like now? Like, is it too late? Like, are they just done?
Petition!
Get an online petition going. Yeah. Get back together. No, you can't do that to a band.
Yeah. Looking forward to the upcoming weeks, we are going to be returning to our regular format.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to have you listen to an album by Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, right. What
the album's called City of Evil.
City of Evil, okay. And you're going to be listening to an album called Loveless by...
Bullet for My Valentine?
Bullet for My Valentine.
Or is it My Bloody Valentine?
Not My Bloody Valentine.
I can never remember which
Bullet
one.
for My Valentine.
Okay.
The 90s band.
Hey, yes.
The band that I always forget what the genre is.
It's its own genre.
It's its own thing, man.
Yeah. But we'll go towards that. Anything else to say about the beer? I think it's gotten a little bit more intense.
It's kind of gotten a little bit more woody as well.
Yeah. Shall we?
But that's probably just because all the sediment is at the bottom and it's getting fairly intense now.
Yeah,
Still tastes good though.
Yeah, it's potent, intense.
Not bad at all.
As we finish this beer, let us say, as we always say on American Brews and Tunes, shibbity people down the hatch.
Ooh, that last sip was very sedimenty.
Yes. Once again, my name is Steven Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And this is American Brews and Tunes.
Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity beeby da.